Hello, everybody. This is Matt Harris with Verado, veradopodcast.com. And today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics and something that can kind of drive me nuts. And also I think is kind of interesting, and there's a lot of misconceptions out there. So I'm going to kind of clear the air with my perspective, which is basically Shopify versus Magento, or Shopify versus Adobe Commerce. Those are the same things. And it gets down to SaaS e-commerce versus open source e-commerce. So best in class SaaS platform for e-commerce, best in class or market leader in open source e-commerce. And what does this mean and why does it matter? So essentially, open source means that you can open up the source code, you can customize it any way you want, you can host it yourself, and you can keep everything private. So it's your system, your platform. You start from scratch essentially with an open source platform. You build it however you want, and you can keep your data private. A SaaS system is essentially everything is behind a gate, and it's multi-tenant. So you might be on a platform like Shopify with thousands of other merchants on the same platform. And there's distinct advantages to doing that as well. But you can't customize it in terms of having access to the full code. You can build apps, and there's a lot of integrations. There's a whole app ecosystem. So there's tons of stuff you can do with it. Doesn't mean it's not customizable. It's just not as customizable. One of the downsides is that they can see all your data. The data is on their platform. So, there's pros and cons to each. And what I will tell you is that the case for open source is that it's really good for B2B commerce. Still, I would say most companies doing serious B2B commerce are using some form of an open source system. And it's for like custom quoting, pricing, workflows. So like tying something in to a pre-existing system, open source just works better. And that includes like older legacy ERP systems. The other thing is on the wholesale side, if you're a big wholesaler or you're a distributor, you're doing B2B, right? Your business is selling to business, which is what wholesale is. You don't want a company to see your data. And you don't want a company rev sharing on that data, which is on those orders, because sometimes it's lots of orders, millions of dollars worth of orders or billions of dollars worth of orders. And you don't want to give up any percentage of revenue on those orders. And that's where SaaS platforms kind of fall short. Basically, with those two things, I think. Customizability, a lack of privacy on the data side, and this idea that the SaaS platform is going to require some kind of VIG, some kind of percentage. And then there's, again, the leasing agreements. So in the enterprise world, in the B2B world, those prices add up and you lose flexibility. So that's where open source shines. It's on B2B, customizable, and the idea that you can control it and you can own it. It works really well for a lot of businesses that are of a certain type. That includes multi-store, multi-region, multi-language. If you have to scale in some kind of complex way, and this isn't standard, this is not default way of working, this is not out of the box working, you're going to probably want to look at an open source system. You're at least going to want to vet it if you're not already on one. Okay, so that's open source. What's the advantage of SaaS? It's really clear. Speed, low maintenance costs, predictable expenses, app ecosystem, boom, user-friendly. Plug it in and go. So if you're an entrepreneur that doesn't have a dev team, if you're a small brand that doesn't have a ton of money and you're only going to be maybe under $50 million in revenue, you want to get up and running really fast, SaaS is definitely the way to go. Shopify is definitely the way to go right now, 2025. And not only that, Shopify has completely mastered the ecosystem of best-in-class marketing tools. So if you're trying to drive traffic to a site, you're trying to track what's coming in, and you're trying to convert those to orders, and you're trying to retain existing customers as repeat purchasers, Shopify has the best tools, and it's the fastest way to get up and running. So absolutely, it's a kick-ass platform. Absolutely, it's the best B2C platform in the world, particularly to small to medium-sized businesses. Again, enterprise is kind of a different beast. So we're huge advocates for Shopify. The problem is there's been so much arguing going on and people lobbing insults at each other. It's driving me, frankly, nuts. And I think it's just crap. It's basically amateur hour in the e-commerce space. Like, it's people lobbing stuff over the fence or making accusations where they just clearly don't know what they're talking about. Both systems are amazing for what they do, but they both can kind of fall short when they get out of their lane. And that's why companies like Harris WebWorks is here to explain to potential companies what's the cost benefit analysis. So we have manufacturers that we work for, and if they're building a B2B portal, we'll probably do that on Magento. We'll say, man, maybe Magento is the way to go. If they want a direct consumer experience, we'll say, okay, go with Shopify. That's the thing. You can do both. It's not like one or the other. And there's lots of businesses that do both. So this idea that like Magento is outdated and it's dead and there's these companies that are doing it just for the maintenance agreement, that's just total crap. Anyone saying that just doesn't know what they're talking about. And they're not ready for the big boy table. I'm hearing a lot from like marketing people or marketing departments that have only done anything but Shopify, and they've only just plugged in apps and gone up and running. And maybe they're delivering a lot of value to their customers, but they have no idea what the B2B integration and open source space looks like and the value of it, because the things they're saying are actually false. And I'm hearing a ton of this chatter on LinkedIn. And I kind of want to put a squash on it, because basically, if that's the information that gets out in the marketplace, if that's the news that wins the day, and that the merchants that maybe aren't as sophisticated or haven't done a lot of research or listening to this, they're going to make a bad choice, potentially. And this chatter is going to have consequences for their businesses. It's going to hurt businesses. This false narrative is frankly going to damage companies, and it's going to damage our industry. Like, we're all in this to help businesses. We should be. If we're not, then you shouldn't be in the industry. If you're in this industry, you should be trying to help businesses modernize and advance and to bring more customers and perform better with existing customers, et cetera. You should be helping them. The idea that you're misguiding people or misleading people in order to get a contract or a commission or to secure a new logo on a certain platform, I don't think you should be in the industry if that's what you're doing. If you're not being honest with your customers, get out of the industry. I hate this stuff. I'm so sick of it. I've seen it in lots of these tech partnership programs. The tech partner is assigned a responsibility and a quota to deliver logos and commissions to a corporation, and they will lie, cheat, and steal in order to get that commission. And it's bullshit. I'm so sick of it. Be honest or get out of the industry. That's my perception. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I feel like I have a right to say this. Not only that, I have an obligation to say it. So those are my thoughts on Shopify versus Magento and Adobe Commerce. So to summarize, everybody play nice. Everybody try to take the high road. I'm throwing a little shade at some people, but it's only because I feel like they deserve it and they're being dishonest. And that's the first thing I'm going to attack. If you're being dishonest, I'm going to say something. I feel an obligation to say something to protect my industry and protect my clients or future clients. But to summarize, Magento and Adobe Commerce still has a very vibrant and very viable position in the marketplace. If you don't know that and understand that, maybe do a little research, because there's a ton of businesses out there that need the solutions that they have, and those solutions have delivered tons of value to those companies. I have case studies that can prove that personally. Secondly, Shopify is absolutely the industry leader, should be. They deserve it. They've earned that spot in the B2C e-commerce ecosystem, particularly for SMB. And so no shade there either. I think that business is amazing. I think their platform is amazing. We love it. But there's room in the marketplace for both these platforms, people. Come on. Let's settle down, stay in our lanes. If one of these platforms really does cross over and make a better solution within the other person's lane, then great. That's what they should be doing. Everybody should be trying to make their products as good as possible. And so when that becomes a reality, then of course, talk about it. But you don't have to denigrate your competition in order to highlight the value of the platform that you're advocating for or the agency that you work for. Okay, wrapping it up. That's Matt Harris with Verado. Thank you for listening to me ramble on about Shopify and Adobe Commerce /Magento. I hope that was helpful. Catch us where you catch podcasts. It's VARATO.com, YouTube, LinkedIn, podcast. That's it. Goodbye.